Welcome to Wolfden Wrestling Podcast, Episode 7. We're going to get right into it with our rumor roundup. Rusev having to have shoulder surgery could possibly be out for WrestleMania 33. This is not set yet, as again, these are rumors. But if it is, it's going to be kind of sad for Rusev because Rusev is a great wrestler, and it is a huge thing to kind of miss WrestleMania. That's just why, like, WWE SummerSlam or whatever would be another option that is huge to miss. So, but WrestleMania is kind of like their Super Bowl, so it's kind of sad to see Rusev if he is going to not be able to make it to WrestleMania 33. But, I mean, it is good that he could possibly be getting his shoulder fixed. I mean, his health is all that really matters in this case. Moving on, Adam Rose leaving wrestling. Former WWE wrestler Adam Rose, or Leo Kruger, you might know him as, or Aldo Rose, I think it is. He also went by. He is possibly leaving wrestling behind him. I don't know the full details about this, but I did see about it, and it is possible that he could be. I mean, if he is, I mean, it depends on what he decides to go on to after professional wrestling. But personally, he's going to be missed. I think he was a great wrestler. If he does decide to leave, it's going to be a little bit of a transition in the world for people that kind of were fans of his. Number 3, Roman Reigns could be turning heel or bad at WrestleMania 33. This rumor comes because of the fact that he's taking on The Undertaker at WrestleMania 33. So, obviously The Undertaker is a huge fan favorite, whether he is bad or good. He always kind of has them fans behind him. So it's very much possible for Roman Reigns to play the heel or the bad guy in this circumstance. And, I mean, it's not really going to be anything different because of The Undertaker. But I think a lot of fans are more towards The Undertaker anyways. Just because for some reason they don't really care for Roman Reigns. I don't understand it. But that's just me. Anyways, number 4, Sami Zayn to get a huge push in the WWE. Sami Zayn has kind of been in the mid-card, I guess you could say. But they're saying that Sami Zayn, following WrestleMania, could be possibly getting a huge push. I would personally think that he deserves it. I think Sami Zayn deserves to be some type of champion. He did have the championship in NXT, and I think he was a great champion in NXT, and I think it's time for him to actually win some type of championship on the main roster. Number 5, AJ Styles versus Shane McMahon at WrestleMania. I know I kind of talked about this in the past, but it kind of looks like this could be possibly happening, because if you guys did not know, after SmackDown Live went off the air, AJ Styles and Shane McMahon had a confrontation backstage due to the fact of AJ's frustration after losing to Randy Orton and losing his spot at WrestleMania for the WWE Championship. Now, I don't blame AJ Styles for being upset, because I personally think that Randy Orton has stated right in the middle of the ring on national television that he did not want to fight Bray Wyatt. He refused to fight Bray Wyatt. So that is why they had the Battle Royal to determine who was going to fight Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania for the WWE Championship, which we all also know ended in controversy itself, where nobody knows who hit the floor first between AJ Styles and Luke Harper. You can fight either side, but nobody actually knows. And then, so WWE tried to fix that by having AJ Styles take on Luke Harper, and AJ Styles won fair and square. And so AJ was rightfully the number 1 contender as of that moment, because AJ has literally earned it. Well, then Randy Orton decided to turn his back on Bray Wyatt, and now AJ Styles and Randy Orton had to fight for the win, which Randy did win fair and square. I have to give him that. But my point is AJ has earned it as well, and Randy Orton has stated that he did not want to fight Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania. He refused to, as Randy's own words. So my point is, I think that WWE was kind of jipping off AJ Styles in a way, but that's just my opinion. I don't know for sure how you guys all feel about it, but comment in the comment section below if you want to get your point across, and how you guys see this situation. But I personally think that AJ Styles and Shane McMahon could possibly be in the works for WrestleMania. Moving on to number 6, Erick Rowan returning to the WWE SmackDown very soon. Erick Rowan actually was out for some type of injury, I believe his shoulder as well, but he could be returning to the WWE very soon, which could possibly open up the fact that Randy Orton and the Wyatt family are going to have a rivalry, but the problem with that would be is who's going to back up Randy Orton, because we all know that Luke Harper and Randy Orton kind of did not get along. So it could be possible that those two could be getting along now on screen, obviously, and fighting together against the Wyatts, defend off the Wyatts. Now, we all know that WrestleMania is going to be a one-on-one match between Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton. Anyways, number 7, Kurt Angle to replace Mick Foley as the general manager. We all know that Mick Foley, rumors about him leaving the general managing business behind him for Monday Night Raw. The rumors now are stating that he's leaving after WrestleMania as the general manager. So, who's going to take his place? The rumor is stating that Hall of Famer, or soon-to-be Hall of Famer, Kurt Angle will be taking his place. Number 8, Josh Matthews leaving TNA commentating table. Josh Matthews does not, I guess, has some type of beef or whatever with Jeremy Borash. And so Jeremy Borash has now been put back on the commentating table as a part of the new setup of TNA or Impact Wrestling. And so Josh Matthews and him were arguing pretty much throughout the whole entire episode of TNA or Impact Wrestling this last episode, and so that opens up the rumors that Josh Matthews could be possibly leaving either the company or the commentating table very soon. And the last piece of rumor roundup is Aleister Black, aka Tommy End, could be debuting on NXT soon. They had a promo type thing for some type of wrestler stating that people will fade to black very soon in NXT, which means this could be possibly true. This is where this rumors is coming from. But if you actually listen to it, it kind of sounds like Kazarian. But I know Kazarian is not currently signed by WWE, so it can't be him. But the way that they made it sound was very similar to that of Frankie Kazarian. Anyways, moving on to our news. Number 1, Finn Balor returns at a live event. Finn Balor has been out for shoulder injury. He actually returned at a live event in a tag team match, teaming up with, I believe, Chris Jericho, and I don't remember that one. I think Sami Zayn, if I'm right, versus Triple H, Samoa Joe, and Kevin Owens, and I believe that he won for his team. I believe he did. But which means that opens up the rumor that he could be possibly debuting back or returning back to the main TV wrestling for Monday Night Raw very shortly. Austin Aries 205 debut. Austin Aries had his 205 debut after last week on Monday Night Raw. He laid out the the Cruiserweight Champion Neville, and on 205 he took on Tony Nese and a winning effort, so good for him. It's great to see Austin Aries back in the ring. Number 3, Hideo Itami returning to an NXT house show. Hideo Itami's been out for some reason for quite some time. I don't know exactly reason why he was out, but looks like he's back, and it's going to be great to see him back on NXT. Number 4, Connor is going to be a daddy with Christy Vane. Connor, part of the Ascension, and Christy Vane, a former WWE woman wrestler. I don't really know who much she is, but I do know who Connor is, and if he is, congratulations to them. This is actually kind of a rumor, but I thought I would put it in the news because I don't want to say it's a rumor if it is true. I don't know for a fact if it is true or not. I don't really follow up on them much, but I mean, if it is, congratulations. Number 5, new TNA debuts of Alberto El Patron, Dutch Mantel, Reno Scum, and more. TNA had a huge episode this last time with a lot of debuting superstars, kind of setting up the new dynamic of TNA or Impact Wrestling. And among them were again Reno Scum, Dutch Mantel, aka Zeb Coulter, and Alberto El Patron, aka Alberto Del Rio, which is good for the company in a way. I think that is great. Number 6, Rick Rude to be inducted in the WWE Hall of Fame. I missed this the last time that I had an episode of this, so I thought I would talk about it in it, and I think Rick Rude is very well deserved for this Hall of Fame induction. Speaking about Rick Rude, it was already announced that Ricky the Dragon Steamboat will be the one to induct him in the Hall of Fame, and DDP will be inducted as well. So I think it's going to be great. Those two I think that are well deserved for it. Number 8, Ron Bass has passed away. I don't know much about him. I know I heard of him before, and I heard of him, but I don't know how his wrestling style was. I know he was known as the Cowboy Ron Bass, but it is still sad to see a legend pass away. So, it's really sad news. Number 9, former TNA wrestlers like ODB and Magnus returning to TNA or Impact Wrestling. I think this is great. I mean, it's going to be great to see ODB back in the Impact Wrestling ring, but I'm more excited, no disrespect to ODB at all, but I'm more excited to see Magnus back. Magnus is one of my favorite TNA or Impact Wrestling stars, so it's going to be great, and it's going to be great to have him back on TV. TNA drops TNA name, now known as just Impact Wrestling. If you guys kind of hear me saying TNA or Impact Wrestling, this is why. Because Impact Wrestling is now TNA. TNA does not exist anymore. Bruce Pritchard has stated that TNA has dropped the name Total Nonstop Action, or TNA, and is now just going to be known as Impact Wrestling, which kind of sets a new dynamic for the company, and I think that it's great for them to kind of move up in the world, and it seems like that's what they are planning on doing, moving up in the world, and I think it's going to be great. With that said, as always, our Spotlight wrestlers from last week, and here we go. Raw. The Spotlight wrestler for Monday Night Raw this last time was The Undertaker, who had an epic return and chokeslamming Roman Reigns at the end of Monday Night Raw. That was the highlight for Monday Night Raw for me, so that's why I gave the spotlight to The Undertaker. SmackDown, one goes to Randy Orton, though I disagree on how he's getting his championship match. I still say that it was an epic match between AJ Styles and Randy Orton. So that is why I gave Randy Orton the spotlight. Number NXT, even though she lost in her match on NXT, I got to give this one to someone that I really am surprised that I am, because I'm not really a big fan of hers. But Billie Kay, I ought to say that I'm happy that she is okay. She had a freak accident with Ember Moon and her corkscrew stunner on the top. She hurt her neck or something on NXT, and I think that it's great that she's okay. And I do think possibly that they could be possibly banning the Eclipse or whatever Ember Moon calls her finishing move because of this injury. But it is a very high dangerous move. I gotta say that Ember Moon is one of my favorite wrestlers on NXT, but I got to agree that it is very dangerous. So that's why I gave Billy Kay the spotlight for NXT. 205 is kind of a new one I thought I would add in because the Cruiserweights deserve to kind of have their spotlight as well. So 205 spotlight for 205 Live from this last episode goes to Austin Aries because he had his debut and he had a fantastic debut. And Impact Wrestling, their spotlight goes to Alberto El Patron, the new World Heavyweight Champion in Impact Wrestling. Congratulations to him. And it's going to be great to see him more often in TNA. But before we end this out, I have a huge announcement. In the episode number 8, the next episode of Wolfden Wrestling Podcast, I will be joined once again by Shawna Palm, aka my mom, and a special episode to where she'll be our guest like I did last time. Anyways, with that said, let's end this thing out. Have a great day and peace, and I'll see you guys all again next week with another Wolfden Wrestling Podcast. Peace.